Welcome to the Michigan Golfer Show. Join us each week as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great game.
We're at the 24th Annual West Michigan Golf Show with one of our headliners, John Novosel Jr. from Tour Tempo. John, welcome to tropical Grand Rapids here, but you're from Kansas, so you know what winter's all about.
Yeah, I do, and I'm amazed at the turnout, even with the weather. It's amazing to see the golf enthusiasts in Michigan.
John, I first learned about you about a year and a half ago when Sports Illustrated writer John Garrity wrote about Tour Tempo, you and your father, and a great story about some of the breakthrough technology. Tell us a little bit about how that all came about and how you engaged John Garrity. I think you told me that your dad used Google to find John.
That's exactly right. It's an amazing story. My dad came up with this concept. He Google searched Kansas City golf writer. John Garrity came up, and they got together, and after a few sessions, John Garrity realized that he was really on to something. So they presented it to Doubleday and created the book, and the rest is history.
John, in a nutshell, on the research, Tour Tempo has demonstrated that there's a lot of myths in golf about tempo, one of which is a lot of golfers should be smooth and slow, pause at the top. But actually what Tour Tempo has done through your dad and your research is shown that we got to swing faster, don't we?
That's exactly right. We've been told to swing slow and smooth, and we watch tour pros, they look what we call smooth, but what is slow and smooth, what does that actually mean? And when you look at the tour pros, they don't swing slow, they swing so fast. But we need to have the right ratio of backswing to downswing. So Tour Tempo's got a couple parts of it. One is that ratio, it needs to be 3-to-1, and that other part of it is that you need to be your elapsed time from takeaway to impact about a second or less, so very fast.
John, in terms of, I think it's an interesting technology you have, because what you're trying to do for the average golfer is to really pick up a beat in their swing, primarily in the downswing it seems to be, but sometimes their backswing is too long. Tell us a little bit about the 3-to-1 ratio.
Right, so this 3-to-1 ratio, most golfers have almost a 4-to-1 ratio, and the question is, how do I get this into my golf swing? So we developed some audio tones that you can listen to. They go bump, bump, bump. And when you listen to these audio tones through your iPhone or our little Tour Tempo micro player, you can actually swing to these tones, and that's how you can improve your swing.
You know, I think it's interesting, too, that a lot of golfers improve sometime when they take a lot of the thoughts and the mechanics out of their swing. You know, talk a little bit about how auditory tones sometimes will simplify the thought process or maybe get rid of the thought process of the swing.
That's so true. That the average golfer's got a 20, maybe 30-point checklist of all the things he's thinking about. And what happens when you listen to these tones is, A, there's no time for thinking, and B, it's so fast you just have to make a swing. So you really get rid of all the golf thoughts, you make a faster swing, and the other big benefit is that you're focused in the present moment. So you're really focused on what you're doing. A lot of times golfers go to hit range balls and they have no focus. Well, when you listen to these tones, you're definitely in the present moment and you're definitely focused.
John, one of the things that you mentioned in your presentation last night and this morning, which really had a lot of people, you could tell, they perked up on this whole idea of force, your backswing to your downswing. Tell us a little bit about that ratio. But if you want to pick up some speed, you really just have to be twice as fast on the downswing, correct?
Yeah, it can be a little confusing. The ratio is 3-to-1, 3 parts backswing to 1 part downswing. But if you look at the forces involved, then what we found is that the force with which you take the club back, you only need to use twice that force coming through. If you load the spring and then unload the spring with twice the force, that ratio is 3-to-1. And I think that's a big thing for people because most people think in golf, take the club back, and then just swing as hard as you can. That's completely wrong. If you know in your head that you only have to swing down twice as hard as you swing back, all of a sudden it becomes a little easier.
John, talk a little bit about Tour Tempo 2 and some of your breakthrough research on the short game and putting. You know, personally, I've found the thought processes and some of your principles of the short game, I could identify that more quickly. And I think it's kind of an interesting analogy you mentioned today, how some of the fundamental thought process of the average golfer, we've got the short game and the long game kind of mixed up with tempo, don't we?
That's a great point. the average golfer, when they first try the 3-to-1 ratio for the full swing, it's way too fast. When they first do the 2-to-1 ratio for the short game, it's way too slow. So they've got their tempos reversed, and that's a really big learning point for the average golfer where they can really improve.
You know, you had some good chats last night with our other headliner, Mike Shannon, who's a top 50 instructor by Golf Digest in the country, also a short game and putting expert. He works with Matt Kuchar and Brant Snedeker. I thought it was interesting how your theories and his theories on tempo for the short game and putting, and how Mike looks at tempo before he looks at mechanics, kind of proves the point of tour tempo, doesn't it, John?
It sure does. Mike has the exact same research where he sees a 2-to-1 ratio for putting in the short game, and he made a great point, is that if the average golfer starts to play bad, do you really need to go doing surgery on your golf swing? Do you really need to change all your mechanics? What Mike said, and is a great point, let's look at tempo first, because tempo is the easiest thing to work on. If you can fix your tempo and not have to change all your mechanics, that makes it easy, fun, and also very quick improvement.
John, how can people find out more about Tour Tempo? I imagine they can order online, and tell us about the whole process.
Sure thing. Yeah, you just go to tourtempo.com, tourtempo.com. We've got all of our stuff on there: the books, the ebook, a lot of the products. We've got some great training aids as well. But tourtempo.com is the way to find it all.
John, thanks for being part of the West Michigan Golf Show. It's great having you here.
Yeah, very excited to be here. Thanks so much.